Hey there viewers, it's Charlie. I'm back again with another Transformers review. And today's review is going to be on Age of the Prime's Armada Red Alert. Now, this is a figure that I've been quite excited for because, well, the Armada updates in Legacy were pretty good. Like, they are nailing the Unicron Trilogy updates. So, is this one just as good? Well, let's see. So, starting off with the box. So, of course, we've got the standard Age of the Primes packaging. So, of course, we've got Red Alert in both modes. Got his name right there. Unfortunately, they seem to have ditched the universe designation thing, so it's not Armada Universe Red Alert, it's just Autobot Red Alert, but I'll talk about that more when we get to the complaints at the end. It takes 22 steps to transform this guy. This side got another picture of Red. This side, of course, some of the 13. The back got him in both modes. Of course, got the, I guess the Minicon attack mode, although, of course, there's no Minicon included. Still waiting for that Minicon pack, Hasbro. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the box. And of course, for the figure, well, of course, it's an update on the original Armada Red Alert. And, well, starting off, I really like this vehicle mode. Of course, it's some sort of like rescue SUV, I guess. Of course, like, this is pretty much just Ratchet, but this guy came out around the time when Ratchet wasn't really available as a trademark, so they just slapped Red Alert on it instead. In fact, this guy's called Ratchet in Japan, so... But I'm sure if they had the trademark back in the day, they would have called this guy Ratchet, because this is more a Ratchet-appropriate vehicle mode than Red Alert, but still. So we've got the details here, so of course, we've got the sides, got that red stripe right here, we've got some ports here if you want to plug in some combat port weapons. Of course, we've got the front here, got a port here, that's replacing a Minicon peg from the original figure. Got the Autobot symbol right there. Got the light bars, this whole structure, which is meant to reference the original toy. And we do have an actual Minicon port right here, which is pretty nice. And this is the one where you plug it on and he's all Red Alert, woo 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 woo. Of course, this guy doesn't do licensed sounds, unfortunately, but come on, that sound effect is iconic. So if you want, you can still plug in a Minicon here. So got the front here, and unfortunately one of the Minicon gimmicks has been gutted from this guy, that being the front bit where these spring out and an entire disc shoots out. This guy does not do that. And honestly, that's kind of unfortunate. Like, I guess they can't do spring-loaded weapons anymore, you know, in case, like, a child gets hurt, but it'd be nice if these just, like, opened up, you know, just as a fun reference. But, oh well. At least there's a port here, so if you want to plug in, like, a Minicon, then you can do that. I guess it'd have to be like one of the more modern Legacy Minicons though, because it's this kind of port, but But this guy still has one of his other gimmicks, that being this flip-out cannon. So that's pretty cool. And you can sort of adjust it if you want. But yeah, on the original toy, you'd plug in long arm, and I'm pretty sure like you move it back, and then this would flip out. And on the original figure, well, you just press a button and it will shoot a pretty big missile, which is also some sort of like claw weapon. And well, on this figure, we do kind of have the claw weapon, although it's been heavily neutered. So you can just have this in here as a fun reference. This does store in the vehicle mode, but we'll get to that later. Because trying to have this plugged in while this is folded up, that's just not going to work. But still, you can do that if you want for remnants of the attack mode, but still. I do kind of miss the pizza launcher gimmick. And just before we move on to the accessories, yeah, the original Red Alert did have like the red cross thing, but obviously we can't do that nowadays. So he just has this, I guess, sort of legal friendly version with an Autobot symbol. Same one that Ratchet has nowadays, and honestly, I don't mind the change. In fact, I fully understand why, and honestly, I kind of prefer this. So, yeah. And of course, underneath, we just see his legs, and that's pretty much it. And, well, we also have pinned-in wheels, which is really nice, because, well, pretty heavy figure, but he does roll pretty well. And it's like this guy has minimal wobble, like, well, most of my figures with wheels, at least, like, and most of them, like, wobble quite a bit, but with this guy, he's barely even doing it, so, yeah. But, well, that's pretty much all I've got to say about the vehicle mode, so let's move on to the accessories. Most of which do store in the vehicle mode, but I have them out just so we can take a look at them, and, of course, they're from the original toy, so we got these two, if my phone will focus. So we got this little laser weapon, I guess, or it's for fixing. It's for like fixing others, and this little triple barrel gun. And I'm pretty sure this one can take blast effects. Can it? Yes, it can. This one can't, unfortunately, but oh well. And of course, these are directly based on things he had in the Armada show. These were things that replaced one of his hands, because of course he didn't have one of his hands in the show, or the toy, actually. And you do store right in here, which I'll show in robot mode. And also, I briefly showed this earlier, the claw! And yeah, this stores right up in there, which I'll also show, but we can also flip this out. And if you want, we can also take this off, and this is another accessory, because this forms a handheld gun. So we can have this plugged in. From the original toy, because I had the claw missile. You can also plug in one of the little red things, if I can find them. Just plug it into the floor again. So we can do that. Or, we can plug in a blast effect. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. So, that's pretty much it for the accessories. So, if I can get this plugged back in. Well, that's pretty much it for the vehicle mode, so let's do a comparison with the original toy, and yeah, that's a pretty accurate recreation. I mean, yeah, the crosses is different, but I mean, that's to be expected. Like, this is a pretty faithful recreation. Like, it's even got the translucent plastic for the, I guess the light bar in this section here. The mini-com port. So, yeah. I mean, the transformation is obviously going to be different, but for the vehicle mode, pretty faithful recreation. So, yeah. So, let's move on to the transformation. And, of course, with this being like a Voyager figure, he's going to get pretty tall, so just going to raise up the camera. So, to get this figure transformed, of course, with the original figure, like, most of, like, this entire section here was on his legs, whereas here it's just this section. So what we're going to do Let's just unpeg the back. And just move these down. So move the entire leg and waist section downwards, like so. Get the... I'm not sure what part of the leg this is. The shin, maybe? I don't know. We get these down and tabbed in. And get the foot down. Come on. There we go. So get the foot out. And this is a pretty tricky bit. Try to get the heels out. Because, like, you see this little bit here. You'd expect you could just do that. But you can sort of see it's kind of fighting me. So what I do is I just activate the ankle pivot. Get my thumb right in there. And eventually that just, like, spins the whole thing around. There we go. So yeah, the heels are kind of a pain in the arse in this figure. But yeah, that's pretty much the heels in. Here we have girl walk mode, which... yeah, that's an option if you want to do that. And if anything, this is actually a pretty good place to show off the weapon storage. So you got these ports here, which these can plug into. So that can go into there. And this can just go into here, although this one's a lot trickier. So I'll just do this off camera quickly. There we go. These can also spin around, although I think it's more just for accessibility. But you can see that these go into here. And for the claw, if you're not using it, it can just store right here. So we've got that going on. So all these can just store in the vehicle mode or the robot mode if you're not using them. So continuing on, fold up this, take the doors and just fold them out. It's just like the original toy. That was not a good sound. But we just fold all this to the back. Just move the doors upwards. Take both arms and straighten them out. And I'm not sure if this is every copy or just mine, but these arms are really tight. Like, Jesus Christ. So just move the arm down and rotate it. And just try and straighten it. And as you can see, yeah, that is really tight. So I just move this down. And the elbows are just, seriously, yes. I know I've had like issues with loose joints, but this is the exact opposite. These are too tight. Anyway, the last step is to just open this up. Actually, there we go. So just open up the bonnet. Try and get the head out. Which, seeing how I'm on camera, it's going to fight me. There we go. So just get the head out. Pushing this section and then just push the bonnet back down. And where the heels just folded back up. So, oh joy. But well, here we have Red Alert in robot mode. And yeah, this is a pretty good looking robot mode. And the transformation, well, it does differ from the original toy. Because, of course, this used to be here on the original figure. This is still a pretty accurate looking robot mode. It's just some of the joints are really, really tight. But yeah, here we have blue RoboCop. Or it's just a man who took a freaking SUV apart and is now wearing it as armor. But still, seeing how I'm just so biased towards the Armada designs, I freaking love this. Even with how wacky it looks. And honestly, I would love to see the Powerlinx colors. So, yeah. But anyway, having a 360. Of course, we pretty much just have most of this on his back now. Just like the original toy. We have these huge bits just sticking out of his legs, so we can take these little weapons out if you want. Of course, he's missing a hand, which is actually a thing in lore. And funnily enough, like, some of the promo shots actually shown him with 2 hands, which I think that led to some people thinking that he was going to have another hand, but no. I think it was just because, like, it'd be weird if, like, promo shots just showed him with, I don't know, a cannon for a hand or something, but, But yeah, this guy doesn't have a second hand accessory. Anyway, let's move on to the head. And again, it's a really accurate head sculpt, and I'm not sure if you can see that well, but light piping! So yeah, that's amazing. You can kind of see it there. I've got a bit of light piping. And yeah, that's definitely just RoboCop. That's RoboCop. So I suppose we should move on to the weapons now, and of course I've attached them onto this guy. So with the claw, as I showed, it's just in here, so we can just take that off now. You can see how the backpack's meant to just tab into there. There we go. So we've got the claw, which, if you want, you can sort of give him like maybe 2 fingers. And just plug this into here. So why not? So he can at least still grab someone and like hold stuff, but Obviously the purpose of this is for when we flip out the gun here and just plugs into here, the claw missile. So we got this huge shoulder cannon, pretty cool. And if we just take one of these, there we go. And then this plugs into the arm. There we go. Only thing he needs now is for his tits to open up to deploy a pizza or something. Yeah, that sounds weird out of context, but if you've seen the original figure, that's actually what it does. These open up, and it deploys an actual disc. So, yeah. But yeah, this is just one molded piece. As I said earlier, I would love if these could just, like, manually open up as just a fun reference, but oh well. It's not the end of the world. I mean, hey, they could have excluded this but at least they have the shoulder cannon, which, of course, just like the original toy, this can come off and become a handheld weapon. So, yeah. That's, again, pretty cool. Now, another gimmick that we lost with this version is, well, on the original toy, this would actually fold upwards and then down, and then this would be like a little platform for mini-cons. That's not really the case for this guy, but I can sort of understand why, because, I mean, we barely have any of the goddamn mini-cons. We only have, like, Jolt and Shatterglass Whisper. We don't even have Windshear, despite having the molds and having Wheeljack. God, I really hope that they do that mini compact that everyone's rumoring. But still, this guy looks really good. And well, for posability, in fact, here's the original figure, just so we know what we're working with. Because keep in mind, the original figure, like, these guys look pretty good. Well, these figures are pretty accurate. Like, it's a pretty good recreation, but the original Armada figure didn't really have that much posability. Because, of course, they were more focused on gimmicks, remember? But yeah, this is a pretty good recreation of the Armada figure. So, yeah. But yeah, for the posability, the head, I'm pretty sure it's on a ball joint. Again, pretty tight. But this can go side to side if you force it enough, just try not to break it. But yeah, again, really tight joints. Arms can move. If you want, these can go down for a secondary option in displaying, but these can T-pose. Bicep rotation. Double jointed elbow, which I'm not going to show off, but you can see there, just because that is really tight. Like, you can see there. Of course, there's no hand there, but for this hand, there's a wrist rotation. Waist rotation. He can kick forward. He can't really kick back because this is in the way. He has got a knee. And I guess like a secondary knee there if you mistransform him, if I can show that off. Well, you know what I mean. The transformation joints. But he does have a knee there and another joint there for transformation if you want to count that. Then there you go. He drops his weapon a lot. The feet can move. The heels can move. Pretty good splits. Pretty good pivot there. These can spin around to accommodate poses. And yeah, pretty poseable. And again, that's pretty much all I've got to say about this guy. But, of course, I do have complaints. Like, obviously, as I mentioned, the heels are pretty hard to try and get out. Like, I have to freaking do the pivots just to get them out. Although, at least he does have some ports there, so if you want to plug in the blast effect, then there you go. But, yeah, trying to get the heels out can be kind of tricky. And they are kind of loose on my copy, or at least this one is. But, again, I'm pretty sure that's just my copy. Now, this next complaint, I'm not sure if this is widespread or if it's just my copy again. The joints are too damn tight. I mean, you saw me trying to transform him. These arms are just... The bloody elbows are just really tight. Like, this is me trying to bend his elbow. It's taking a lot of force to try and bend it. Now, at least it's not like extremely floppy, but I would prefer to do it a bit looser. And, well, to be honest, I think for my next complaint, this is more of a nitpick. I just wish that he had the opening pizza launcher. And also, if we bring back the box, again, another nitpick. People are not going to care about this because, of course, they throw out the boxes. I wish they kept the universe designations because, obviously, with Legacy, this would have been called Armada Universe Red Alert, but here it's just Autobot Red Alert, so, of course, some kid who wasn't even born during the time of Armada is going to see this and not know that this is the Armada character. Because who knows, maybe, like, and maybe said kid has, like, hot shots, and then they buy this guy, and they have no idea that these two are meant to be, like, connected, because I'm overthinking this. And as I said, it's a nitpick. But, yeah, my biggest complaint is definitely the really, really tight the really tight joints, because of course the head was really tight again. But for my biggest nitpick, I just wish he also had some of the other gimmicks from the original toy. But still, this is a really good figure. So, do I recommend this guy? Absolutely. This is a really good update to the original figure. Like, he looks good on a shelf. He looks good with the other Legacy Armada figures, and I'm sure they do like more in Age of the Primes. Like if they do like Clonus, Hasbro, please, he looks good with them. So yeah, this is a really good figure, and I think so far this is one of my favorite Age of the Primes figures. I think it's just because I'm so biased towards Armada, but so yeah, I absolutely recommend this guy. So, this has been my review on Age of the Primes Armada Red Alert. And this is Charlie Young, signing off.